Welcome back to Roll and Review, where we talk about all things nerdy and awesome. I'm Jim, and I'm your Dungeon Master for today. And today we're talking about a topic that was actually brought up first by Extra Credits, an awesome channel that talks about history, video games, sci-fi, mythology, a whole bunch of stuff. And they talked about a concept in video games called choice paralysis, which essentially, if you've never heard of this, is when there are so many choices available that you can't make any because you get so overwhelmed by trying to analyze the possibilities that you end up just giving up because it's too much. They especially talk about it in early RPG games, which just gave you every option from the get-go when creating a character, and so a lot of people never made it past character creation. But today, I want to talk about it in light of Dungeons and Dragons, because as Dungeon Masters, I think we have to be conscious of this, or else our players can also get bogged down by choice paralysis, especially when trying to bring in new players. So there are three topics in Dungeons and Dragons, I think, that really touch on this, and we should at least be aware of it to address it in our own games. And that's first, character creation. Just like video game RPGs, character creation can be really overwhelming when you have the choice of any race or class, how you're going to do that when you're looking long-term subclasses, things like that. Way too much just if you're looking at the book and trying to figure out what you want to play, especially for your first time. The second one is choosing what to do while you're in the game. While we'll talk more about that later, but and three, the idea of how do I finish this mission. Because as you are probably aware, if you've played Dungeons and Dragons, sometimes the answer is a little different from what one might expect, or you come up with 100 weird ways to do it that your Dungeon Master was never expecting you to go down. So, first things first, character creation. Now, with character creation, like I said, you can really easily get bogged down with new players in character creation, because if you're looking at simply the core rule book and the core rules, while there are a limited number of races, there's still a handful of races, handful of classes, different ways you can combine them, either to min-max a character or just to do something fun and more story-driven. There's a lot of variation that you can put into that, and for someone just coming in and not really sure necessarily even how the game is played, let alone character creation, it can be way too overwhelming. This is why I suggest to everyone who I've ever talked to about DMing, when it comes to character creation, you just get some information first and you really lead them through. So I ask a 3-option question. What do you want to do? Hit things, shoot things, or do magic? And while most people might actually say kind of a combination of the two, as opposed to like, I just want to hit things. So then you're like, okay, barbarian, go do your thing. But some people will come at you and say, well, I really want to shoot things, but I kind of want to do some magic too. Like, okay, well, there are some options for that. Or I want to smash things, but I want to have some magic too. Okay, we have some options for that. And so asking that question really helps you kind of lay out the guide for the options that they would like to play. Meaning, of course, if someone wants to shoot something, they don't even have to look at paladins, barbarians, fighters. If they don't want to do magic, wizards, sorcerers, druids, all of that's gone. And so you can really look and say, oh, you want to shoot things? Okay, well, ranger is probably what you want to play then. You can also do a little bit in this class or a little bit in this class if you want to mix with this other playing style or this other playing style, or you want to have that flavor to your character. And so asking that, it will allow you to recommend 2 or 3 classes that will actually fit with what they want to do. So then when it comes to class selection, you can say, hey, these are the 2 options. Your brain works well on it with 2 options, this or this. Your brain can understand that and can quickly identify both of those and make a decision. And so you're not going to get bogged down in trying to figure out, what the heck am I going to do? There are so many classes. And all of this gets even more expanded when you start looking at different books. If there are homebrew options, I know in some games DMs will allow you to just homebrew everything. I've played a game with someone who played as The Witcher from that wonderful game series. I've played with Marvel characters in the D&D world, and I'm not talking like mutants and masterminds. They were actually Marvel characters in the world and as player characters. So giving especially new players that kind of focus on here are the classes you should probably look at because that's how you want to play. Great. So the second topic is the idea of how do I get a quest? What do I do today? And I will say the module games, so like Tomb of Annihilation, things like that, really don't have to worry about this. This is more for the homebrew campaign. Those groups can get bogged down with what do we do now, because sometimes a story hook isn't necessarily the most clear if done in a homebrew campaign. I know I'm guilty of that. Also, if someone says you can do whatever you want, this is an open world, you like go explore, go have fun, go find something. Well, yeah, but that's the dungeon master's job. And so we have to make sure, even in a homebrew campaign where even if it's a relaxing day and you're not planning a big story, give a few options. You know, so someone might come into a game thinking, oh, this week I want to do this, this, and this. Like, this week I really need to go to the market and use that gold I just got from that big quest and this special magic item and enchant and improve my weapons, improve my gear, do all this stuff. Like, that's great. But that's not, like, a full session of D&D. You're going to get into some shit. And so, having a few options, whether it's that bounty board or the barkeeper who has his finger on the pulse of everything, or maybe a royal person, a duke or king or something like that they have a relationship with, it's given them quests before, giving them a few options. You know, in one of my recent games, they had the option to go address a problem where bandits were attacking farms, or go to a house that was heavily implied that there was a fight club there. They chose to go deal with the bandits, and that had its own story, and it was fun, and they're still dealing with that. But, you know, giving them those two options in between the massive storylines that we like to do, having those options just makes it easier for them to kind of figure out what they want to do, because they can make that decision instead of saying, I could go here, I could go here, I could go here, I could do this, 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 and this. I could go buy things, I could go, like, I can go drink all day, I can just do, like, anything, really anything. I could do whatever I want. You're going to get slow, and the game's going to get really boring. Now, the third topic I want to talk about is how do we finish a quest? Because sometimes these stories can have multiple options on how we actually solve this problem. Oftentimes it's because different party members have different ways of solving issues. The barbarian is probably going to hit whatever he's going to hit. A rogue or a wizard or a rogue, high charisma, might try to talk his way out of it or talk his way through it. A wizard probably going to try some magic and either subvert around it or solve the issue there without necessarily drawing a sword. So how does a party decide on that? And oftentimes it's, the democratic system. We all vote and say, oh, this is the one I want to do. But sometimes I've noticed in a lot of games that when we have a bunch of options on how we can solve things, especially if we as dungeon masters plan for multiple ways for something to be resolved, sometimes we overwhelm our party with that. Because I know personally, when I'm thinking about a story that I'm constructing, I think of all the ways the players might want might try to solve this issue. So if it's going after a treasure for a pirate king, and well, all of a sudden the treasure has like an ownership curse, you literally can't give it to them. Oh, okay, how do you solve that issue? You can talk your way out of it. You can fight the pirate king. If he gets really pissed, you can just kind of go, well, we're going to leave because he's not going to be happy with us. You give him something in compensation. Well, all of these are definite options. All of these things could work, especially if the roles are right. But sometimes as Dungeon Masters, we hint at all of these solutions, but we don't give clear direction on any of them. And so the players hear all these hints and are seeing everywhere that they could go, and they don't know which way is the proper way to do it. What way is the way the Dungeon Master wants us to do it? And so you don't have to do this right off the bat, but with a couple of my parties, when they started slowing down, going, this is a big issue. How are we going to solve this? We could do this, or this. And the party starts arguing and getting intense, and people are getting mad at each other over a game. Those are the times you as a Dungeon Master can kind of take a second, calm everyone down, and say, well, here, remember what this character said, that, he that pirate king just wants valuable things. Well, okay. So that kind of points the party towards kind of a substitution. He doesn't get what he wants, but he gets something valuable. And that'll be good enough. But just giving little hints. You don't have to tell them, hey, just that red diamond that you picked up earlier, remember that? Yeah, give that to him. Oh, yeah, he only has 58 hit points. You could easily kill him. You don't have to be that blunt, but throw out some ideas. Throw out some things that maybe the player characters would know in game that the humans playing those characters wouldn't remember, to kind of point them and just give them a little bit of direction when the options are so plentiful that you can tell the party is not meshing, or they're just getting bogged down and they can't figure out how to finish this. Because I know personally I have run into games where even though it was fun, we could have had so much more fun if we hadn't have argued how we were going to solve this one thing for an hour. Had we had that little bit of direction, we could have gotten past that arguing, saved us an hour of getting mad at each other, and we would have had another hour of game to play and fun to have. So those are the three areas where I think as Dungeon Masters we have to be aware of this phenomenon of choice paralysis, of having too many options, getting way too overwhelmed to actually make a decision. Because in the end, the game's not for us, the game's for those players, and if they are having problems making a decision, they're going to get overwhelmed, they're going to get anxious, they're not going to have a good time, and until something breaks them out of that and pushes the story along, it's going to be boring. And none of us want a boring session of D&D. So thank you everyone for coming and watching. We really appreciate it. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button down below. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you have something else to add, either other insight you have on choice paralysis, other D&D videos you want to do, I know soon we're going to be actually making some more videos. We got some weird character videos coming up, homebrew items, and a whole bunch of stuff coming up, so look forward to that. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter and Facebook. On Twitter it's @RollReview, Facebook Roll and Review. And hey, check out Extra Credits. You probably already know them if you're listening to us, but you know what? They're awesome. I love that channel, and this was a really interesting topic to talk about for more than just the few minutes you're with me, but with all my friends and all that. So watch their videos. Really great stuff. Anyway, we'll see you later and have a good game. What don't they